Procedurally generated, permanent death, roguelikes allow their unique mechanics to be incorporated into any genre, resulting in a sea of diverse games with infinite possibilities. And with new unique roguelikes being released every single day, I like to play and analyze the ones that may not have had the chance to shine yet. If that sounds interesting, welcome to the series where we learn what works, what doesn't, and why, all in search to find the next big roguelike.
Moonlighter 2 is a 3D action dungeon crawler roguelike that is actually split into action portions and shop management kind of roguelike gameplay, which is an interesting fusion. Now, this is the sequel to Moonlighter 1. Now, usually on this series, I do showcase small games from small developers and small teams, and usually I don't really go for games that already have a bit of a following, so to say. I played Moonlighter 1 a while back when it came out, and I really enjoyed it. I do remember I had quite a few mixed feelings about it, but the development studio, Digital Sun, sent us their game, and they wanted me to experience it for the first time for the next big roguelike series. So I figured, you know what? I'm really excited and very curious to see what they did with this sequel. Now, I've always said that I like roguelikes that tend to try to go for something unique. And Moonlighter, did do something fairly different by fusing two different drastic gameplay elements, similar to Call of the Lamb. I do remember that back then, I think that I really loved the vibe that it was going for, but I thought that the distinction between the action and the shop phase, neither of them were fantastic in my eyes. So I'm curious to see what they've improved, what they've changed in this sequel. So as per usual, I'm going to be playing a few hours on my own. I got a feeling I'm going to have to play a little bit more than just like 1 or 2 hours to get a good idea of what this game has to offer, because I think it's a pretty big game. But timestamps below if you want to skip ahead and see my overall thoughts on the game later down in the video. All right, let's finally check out some Moonlighter 2. Okay, so here we are. First thing before getting started, do want to note that this is currently in early access. It just came out in early access at the time of recording. I had access to the demo originally, but they wanted me to actually check out their most recent update because it just released a big update here. But we've got our broom, which I do think we had a broom to start off with in the first game, so that's quite nice. I mean, if I remember correctly, the game is fairly slow, all things considered, considering, there's two major gameplay elements to get used to, right? The action and the shop management situation. I'm liking this 3D aspect so far. All right, so rolling, LT, okay. Got it, cool. So we've got our roll. Is this to grab things, or I'm not too sure. Oh, we got our first enemies. Okay, so seems to be an auto lock feature. Yes, I'm also playing on a controller. I'm loving the way this looks, by the way. This was what originally really got my attention playing the original game. It just looks so wonderful. You found your first relic. Relics are the most important items for adventure merchants. They are the product to be sold in your shop. That's interesting because usually relics in a lot of games are, your passive abilities that you're going to lose at the end of your run, but here is the opposite. It's the things you collect for your permanent progression. All relics come with a quality, value to affect their price in the shop. We learn more about this later. I'm really curious how different this game is compared to the first one. So, what's the difference here? The quality? Maybe you could just only have 3 at a time? I'm not too sure. Merchant, do you hear my call? Yeah, I sure do. A little worried, but I'll listen to you. Interact. This looks great. Oh, this is the loading zone switch. That's cool. I'll definitely talk more about my experience of Moonlighter 1 when I get into my rant. But, oh, wait, we can... Oh! You can shoot? I just have a gun? Oh. Oh, wow! Okay. Cool. Don't know if that was part of the first game. I really did enjoy the first game, but I remember, yeah, the gameplay I was kind of mixed on. So, I'm very curious to see the differences. Hit enemies to reload. Okay, got it. There are a few games that have this kind of approach. Once again, the music so far is killer, which I would have been very sad if it wasn't. Certain enemies, after losing half of their health, will enter a rupture state. You then want to hit them with your backpack and launch them away. Cool, got it. So immediately, I do feel like there's more things to play around with. I don't know if there were that many elements gameplay-wise in the first game, so that's kind of cool. So I think there's an auto-lock system that's automatic that I don't really interact with much. What do we got? Beware, merchant. Sometimes on your adventure, you will find cursed relics. Interact with upper slot of a chest to choose between 2 relics of higher rarity. The higher the rarity, the higher the price. Each relic carries creatures that will trigger different outcomes. Place them strategically to see their quality rise. Left and right add 6 to relics in the same... You know what? I don't think they had much going on with like the actual inventory management gameplay mechanics. I'm kind of liking this concept. I'm hoping that they're going to be elaborating even more on this. Did they say beware? It made it sound like this was going to be potentially a problem. I had to be careful. If I do this, did it automatically do it? Or is it going to happen later? I'm assuming that any relic can be cursed. Although curse doesn't seem like a bad thing. We have equipment, we have material, quest, codex, system. Okay, cool. I'm no threat. I can help you if you say so. Oh, actually. Okay, so use it to heal. I sense danger. Thanks. Okay, that actually does look pretty bad. Run. Cool. I'll trust the voice that gave me a potion to run. This is a cool section. I like it. And with the music, quite immersive. I like it. Funny that I don't actually have a run button. What are you? Use it to return home immediately. But I barely have anything. I have to press it. Fine. Okay, so yeah, it's obviously still tutorial. Great introduction. Here we are. Beautiful, as I would have hoped for. Oh my gosh, the music. It's so beautiful. Quite a big little town we got here. I wonder how much we're going to be interacting with. Oh wait, I can see the whole town here. Oh yeah, cool. So currently there's only one thing to interact with, which is probably my home and my shop. I'm so curious how the shop is going to work. Also, I kind of forgot how I was in the first game. But I do remember by the late game of the first game, it was kind of mundane and there was like not much to actually do. This is not your parents' shop, but it's all we have now. Fight for it. I trust you. Let's get our shop tutorial. I found this old junk. We can use it to remember the basics. Got it. I think we have our first customer. Selling my stuff. So, yeah, it's showing me the appreciation of customers, right? That smells unique. I'm sure it is. Is interested in a relic, they will approach its display case. Yeah, if it's too expensive, on whether they consider the set price to be fair. Reactions can range from cheap to low to perfect fair to expensive, a little high, or overpriced too high. They will leave without purchasing, right? So you want to be hitting the second smiley face, not the first one. So you kind of have to just experiment with it. So he's not going to be happy about this price because it's too expensive, right? And then it's going to give us a tutorial to set the price. Okay, as a good merchant, you can set the price of your relic. Take into account the reactions you have gathered from previous sales to set the best. So yeah, so you just need knowledge. Remember, relics of higher rarity will have higher prices. So that seems pretty much the same as the first one. I wonder if there's anything added to this. So let's be greedy and put 55. Are you happy now? Okay, well, he wasn't super happy, but he's still buying it, so I guess 50 is the max. For now! I'm still a little curious about this whole, like, curse thing, because it didn't seem to do much. Explore with an empty space to put my relics. So, the curse thing is gone, so it was clearly a thing during the run that I imagine every relic can randomly have. Although there's a little different color behind it. Is that because it's a different rarity? So, wait, quality is 5%. Oh my gosh, I thought it was, I had 3 of these up there, but no, it's quality 3. Got it. So let's do the cheap version first. Oh, it immediately takes into account the quality. Okay, that's cool, that's nice. I don't know what the norm is yet, so let's just go for 30 here. Quality that you have, it will affect the price of the relic. Final price of a relic is set enhanced by its quality. The higher price. Cool. I like that it's automated in that regard. Let's do 50 for you, and I don't know, 40 here. I obviously have 0 frame of reference right now, so we'll have to try it out. So right now, this is at 30, so let's put this one at 50 to see the difference. All right, let's see if we got lucky with our random assortment of items. Here we go. Let's open the shop. Moment of truth. How are we doing? I don't know if I should be at 1,000 or not. I mean, obviously, I have the shoes, right? That gave us a frame of reference roughly, but we don't know how good shoes should be. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't look at this one. Okay, so that's cheap. That's cheap. So let's interact with this and bring down to 40. This one is 30, so let's keep those two in check. So apparently we could have sold those for more. Got it. How are we feeling now? Are we happy? Nope, still expensive. But this one, okay, well, apparently those shells are really, really bad. Got it. 20. How about that? And you know what? You'll be at 17. Voila. Come back. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Okay. Come on, come on. It's juicy. It's juicy. Take a look. Yes, yes, you love it. You love it. You love it. Okay, too cheap, too cheap, too cheap. Bail, bail. That one was 15, so maybe this one is going to be the right price. Let's see. 20 is perfect. Perfect. Okay, we got the right pricing. It's 20 on this guy. But the shell is not very rare. That is good to know. That is pretty much how I remember the first game to be. Again, I'm curious if it's going to get any more elaborate than that. We'll see. So yeah, this seems to be a pretty heavy lore-based game. I mean, as you can just see right here. Clearly looked happy behind that counter again. I guess this is our life now. Nah, don't worry. We got plenty of cool bosses to fight. I'm excited to do my first run to see how far I can go without any upgrades or anything. Because this obviously is a pretty heavy, you know, roguelite. Oh, and we are being sucked into the endless vault. Can earn more than 7,000. Oh, I have a straight up goal now? Okay, that's like my main goal. 7,000. I will open my gate. 7,000 does not seem like a lot. So I'm imagining it's just the first step of our quest. Obviously, I'm not going to be showing all of the story elements for the gameplay portion. You'll have to experience that on your end. If I'm not mistaken, I think in the first game, the goal was not to make money. It was just to beat the bosses at the end of each gate. So my understanding is that this is a different goal. That's cool. Time to put the old broom to rest. Nah, I'm gonna beat the game with only a broom. I have to be selective here on my first weapon. I want to see how far I can go with just my first weapon. Let's do the normal sword, I think. Short sword is the most balanced weapon. That's why I decided to go with it. It's a pretty basic combo system. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, as I expected, the combat is fairly slow, which was kind of like a trait of the first game. All right, let's go try out our first official run. I love the... The VFX are so nice. The whole ooze thing was a big part of the first game, and it's beautiful here. Okay, and there we go. It was not a choose a path game in the first one, I think. I think it had just a set path. So that's interesting. Let's go here, I guess. The question mark are events. Our events are always fun, but I want to try to get some perks. I will say this sword does more damage than the broom. Oh, I'm getting materials. Oh, not actual items. Interesting. Oh, if you're purple, I can do the backpack. Got it. Oh, okay. Oops. I don't think I can... Oh, wait. Haha, nice. Oh, that's cool. I was gonna say, I don't think I can stagger enemies if I just constantly hit them, like a lot of action games. So that's something to keep in mind. I have to be careful. Oh, I do have a potion. I did keep that potion. Okay. Okay, there we go. In Kelina, some relics can burn others, destroying them. Certain relics have powerful effects when they are burned. Also, some relics can add an armor to others. When armored relics are burned, their armor are destroyed instead. Cool. Okay, I do like the idea of having some unique inventory management mechanics. I think that's something that was missed in the first game. Cast armor on the pointed relic. So again, I think everything can have these effects randomly, is my guess. So if I grab this and I put it here, now this has armor. Oh, so it's done? Oh, it was a one-time thing. Oh, I have to be careful where I place things then. It's pretty important. So now that this has armor, and if I burn it, it will make all my relics better. I like this. This is simple, but I really enjoy having a little bit more complexity in my inventory management. All right, let's take a look at what the wound perk is. That's what I'm really curious about, because I'm assuming these are like the roguelike elements in the run to make me stronger. Oh, all right. This is what I'm very curious about. Let's see it. Okay, it is a Hades boon-like system, which I'm totally fine with. I think the first game did not have that. Your gun deals more damage and inflicts wound. Yeah, let's take it. It's rare, so that sounds cool. Now, is it gonna look different? Don't know if it looks different. Gameplay is definitely more extensive than the first one. The first one was very basic. It's not like this one is particularly complex either, but it definitely adds a little bit more. After an enemy gets foam, it explodes and receives 50 damage. That seems really powerful. It seems like the numbers are really high, which I guess makes sense because you're going to be focused a lot on just the inventory stuff, and you're not going to get many boons, I imagine. But that seems really solid. I don't think so. I don't know if there is. Let's take a look at the foam. Foam! No, I wonder if the foam actually hurts me as well. I don't know. Oh, that's a lot of oozes. Okay, it doesn't seem like it actually deals damage to in an area. So it's just a lot of damage. Surprising. I thought it was going to come with a downside. But no, I guess just numbers are big. You know what? Let's do this. And boom. Woo! All right, that was cool. Oh, it's a one time. I thought it was two. I see. Okay. We'll do this, and then let's just create it. Boom. Nice. This is cool. I'm liking this. And then we'll be able to potentially burn this later on. Simple stuff, but I like it. You look spooky. Hello. Bonk. Oh, yeah, okay, there's a reason. You're a mini-boss. Got it. And again, the music complements the intense fight here. Hard to see when I'm gonna get attacked, I guess, a little bit. I mean, obviously, like, the big red circle makes sense, but when they're gonna be doing these things, it's a little unclear to me yet. But I guess it makes sense with the 3D aspect. Okay, I should have... I mean, I could see him do it, but still a little unclear to me. How's that bad? I have to get used to the combat, obviously. I'm liking the fact that you have a gun to start off with. Boom! Yes, ragdoll. Broken mic. Is this a relic? Oh, it's just a material. Materials are like currencies that I'll be using to upgrade stuff, and then the backpack is for the actual shop with its own little inventory management stuff. Cool. We got a new recipe. Takes no damage the first 2 times a boss hits you. That's a recipe, so that's for something later. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue playing on my own, because I feel like I'm only scratching the surface, obviously. And I will come back with my overall thoughts in just a moment. Okay, so I ended up continuing that run, doing multiple more runs, starting the new biome, beating that biome, getting a bunch of upgrades, and I still feel like I'm only scratching the surface as I expected. So let's just jump right into it. Once again, I do want to premise that this is not a small game compared to a lot of games that feature on this series, but I do want to thank again the people at Digital Sun for sending us the game, because I was quite a fan of the first one, and I was very eager to see what they would do with the second one, considering that there are still a lot of things that I was not a fan in the first one. Now, it's been a while since I've played it, but I still kind of have good ideas of elements that I struggled with originally. So, how different is it in this game? Well, let's just jump right into it. First off, let's talk about the gameplay, because the gameplay obviously is a pretty major aspect in this particular game, considering that the whole premise is that you're not like experienced adventurer, you're just a shopkeeper. Now, in the first game, it made a lot more sense because you actually were just a shopkeeper and you were just kind of going into the night and like trying to be an adventurer. Here, you are still playing the same character, I believe, and so you are adventurer now. So the whole premise is not as gripping as the original, obviously, but it's still nice to see the same like returning characters and just still a lot of effort put into the story, which we'll get to later. But yeah, so the gameplay here, things are a little bit more extensive, where in the first game there was really not much you were doing in terms of gameplay. Here, you've got much more of a Hades approach, and it's a bit of an interesting conversation, I would imagine, because yes, more and more people are trying to be Hades, and for good reasons. The Hades recipe works really well. This is Moonlighter 1 with some Hades put into it, and there's some good elements to this and some elements that I personally am missing from the first game, but overall I would say I do like the approach that we're going for. So basically, with the gameplay here, you have multiple weapons you can choose from as you start to run with. You've got your spear, you've got short sword, long sword, and then like the gloves. Now, it's not as extensive as Hades. You're still pretty limited in terms of the actual gameplay, which I guess makes sense. Again, that's part of the charm of the game, is that you're still a shopkeeper. You're not supposed to be this crazy god who can just dash around doing crazy stuff. You still feel rather weak. Not as weak as the first game, and I think it kind of works quite well in terms of the story. Originally, you were way weaker in the first game. Here, yeah, you can do more stuff, but it's still a little clunky. At least from the little bit I've played, it still felt hard to be able to evade enemies even if you see attacks coming, and I guess that can be intended. I'm not too sure. I will say a lot of your attacks, some of the attacks takes a long time to cancel the animation, but you know, you do have to just get comfortable with it. There are some attacks that are fast and others that are slow, and the slow ones, you'll get punished if you do them in a moment where the enemy might attack you. it was a little hard for me to grasp how the gameplay really feels in just this little bit that I've played. And I will say, this is a game that I'm planning on playing more on my end and potentially featuring on the Rogathon series, the series where I play games myself and then do a review of it. This being a first impression, it is a little hard for me to really know how the gameplay really felt. Because at times it was really cool to be able to do my combos, and you have a lot of different elements. You have your backpack swing, you have your gun, you have your normal attacks, you have your special attack, and there are a few combo elements depending on the weapon you're using, and it's cool. But a lot of it still felt quite slow. Now, in the original, it was just a top-down, if I'm not mistaken, full-on. So it was much easier to see enemy attacks. Here, this is more of a third-person view with different floors, and sometimes it was really hard to see certain enemy attacks. Sometimes a lot of enemies will just like create an attack and then you'll see a big red circle. That's easy to evade, but sometimes they don't. Some enemies are just immediate attacks. I mean, you can see the animation, but sometimes you'll get an animation and then the red circle, while others is in big animation and then you get hit. That was pretty hard for me to get used to in the little bit that I've played, and I do feel like that does require a lot of getting used to in terms of like understanding the enemy attacks and patterns, but it didn't felt intuitive for a lot of it, I would say. And also that comes with like hurt boxes and hit boxes are a little hard to distinguish. My first death, I looked back at the footage and I'm like, really, I got hit? I know it's because it's the 3D environment, and naturally in a 3D environment with this kind of action, it's hard to really master, you know, understanding where things are visually and positioning. But overall, when things worked, I really do prefer this gameplay than the original, because you got more to do, but you're still not like Hades, you're still not crazy powerful. So I think they did a pretty good job balancing that out. There isn't currently an auto lock feature. Now, the game did push me to use a controller, and every time they asked that, I go with whatever is intended by the developer. So I did this, but there's an auto lock where you have no control over it. At least I don't think so. I looked on the settings and there wasn't no tutorial talking about it. It's just automatic, and it's a little weird because sometimes I'm trying to attack something else and it's just going backwards to attack something behind me, and considering that attacks can be really slow, that can be pretty problematic at times. I've realized that I've taken some damage here and there because the auto lock was just a little aggressive, if that makes sense. I was hoping there would be an auto lock function that I could actually control, but again, I only got to play for a little bit, so maybe I'll get used to it and it'll actually work out. But I am definitely curious to just get more comfortable with the gameplay to see how it really feels, because so far after 3 hours of playing, it felt good at times and other times it felt a little hard to get comfortable with. So that's the gameplay. Now let's talk about the shop gameplay, because obviously, you know, it's split in 2 sections, and I always said that a lot of roguelike gameplay mechanics and fuse them together, it's really hard. Cult of the Lamb had trouble with that, Moonlighter 1 had trouble with that. You know, some people might disagree, but I think it's hard to do that. And here, I really do think they actually did improve on the shopping section from the little bit I've seen. It's still the same as the first game. The one big difference is, first of all, there's more things to buy to just, you know, create more specific passives on your shop, right, that you can buy outside. I mean, there's just so much to buy, which we'll talk about later in terms of the meta progression, as to be expected. But no, what really surprised me is on the Hades whole approach, they added that function in the shop as well. I barely got to really play with it, but basically every day when you open the shop, now there's also going to be some perks that are going to be just for that day. That's super cool. They looked very simple and fairly basic, but that was just the beginning, and ultimately, that's just really, really interesting to have the shopping have something unique every day. Because I remember that in Moonlighter 1, my issue at the end is that it got really boring to just be, you know, you put your items, you put the exact number that you know is what everybody likes because you know all their prices, and you're done. It was just kind of boring and mundane. And here, with the whole Hades perk thing, which is something I did not even think about, quite smart honestly, I could imagine it getting much more interesting even throughout the late game. So I have barely experimented with it. I'll probably talk more about it on the Rogathon, but from what I saw, that's really cool. And yeah, other than that, it's still the same good old shopping from Moonlighter 1, which is very basic. The core mechanic of it is still very basic, which is fine. It's just kind of satisfying. It's almost just like on the spot, you're just selling stuff, you're seeing your money go up. It's satisfying. It's a satisfying, almost idle gameplay loop with some extra flair. So that's cool. Now, in terms of the other roguelike elements, once again, they really did change the way that the runs go. In the first game, it was kind of like a full-on dungeon crawling experience similar to Gungeon and Isaac, where, you know, it was an entire floor that was created and you had to go around collecting things. Here, not anymore. They really revamped it to the whole Hades thing once again, where you choose different rooms and then each room will have its own reward. And you also get some actual boons throughout the run that, you know, just like Hades, you get the wound boons, perks I think they're called, and you know, you can get a rare version, an epic version, and you can go for a wound build for that run, or like an electric build for that run. It's Hades stuff, which I like this gameplay loop. It's not original anymore. It works well, and so I understand why they did it. The thing I missed the most from the first game, the only thing I really missed the most from the first game, is the immersion of the exploration of the entire dungeon. In the first game, since it was an entire dungeon that was created and you had to go from room to room, that was much more immersive to me. And while I did have a lot of issues with the first game, one of the coolest aspects to me was the sense of adventure, which tied in very well with the whole story. I think the fact that now you're just teleporting from one room to another and you're just choosing the path on the map, yes, it's much more meta these days to do this, but it does lose a little bit of its charm by going for the Hades approach. I'm not saying it was a bad move, I'm just saying that I miss the uniqueness of the dungeon crawling experience of actually having the whole floor being generated. That is sad because I play so many Hades-like and I don't see many games doing that more old-fashioned approach. So, that's a little sad to me, but I get it, and ultimately, if I didn't know that the first game was like that, then I would still say that that makes sense right here, and it works quite well. You know, there's a lot of things you can do. It seems like, you know, there's combat rooms, there's your boon rooms, there's vent rooms, so it works well, just not as immersive to me. And of course, let's talk about the whole hub, right? Because this being a shop management / action game, the hub's got to be pretty extensive and pretty important, and it is. I forgot how big it was in the first game. I can see it, but I don't remember, you know, how much there was to buy. But one thing's for sure is that in this game, I know just from the little bit I've played, I only bought like 1 to 2% of things, and it's only going to be expanding and expanding. I love the fact that while I did lose a little bit of the immersion in the dungeon crawling, there's a lot more quests and mini quests and just things to look forward to unlocking in the hub. I don't know how it was in the first game, I forgot, but here it really does feel wow. Like there's the whole adventure waiting for you, and a lot of NPCs will give you unique quests that give you different reasons to go from biome to biome. I'm really excited to see all the things that I'm far from unlocking, if that makes sense. So I really like the hub. There's a nice teleporting mechanic, and there's a lot of things to buy for a lot of different perks. You know, you can change your weapon, you can upgrade your weapons. There's a lot of different weapons with different kind of aspects in Hades, right? There's like 4 main weapons, but there seems to be different aspects, if you know what I mean. There's different things you can buy for the shop. There's actual shop upgrades. There's like the chest upgrade. There's the potion upgrade. There's a lot, and that's what I expected. And I'm really happy that that's what it is. I cannot wait to get back in this game. Again, this is one of the hardest next big roguelikes to review because I'm only just tiny scratching the surface, and it's so exciting. I cannot wait to get into it. Another aspect I totally forgot to bring up as well, within the whole action portion of, you know, the runs themselves, previously the whole point of doing the runs was to collect items, and you just put them in your inventory and just choose which items are best. I don't think there was more than that. I think one of the coolest things they've added is this whole actual gameplay within the inventory. There's a lot of now relics that come with curses. I don't know why they're called curses because it sounds negative, but it's actually positive, where you can burn relics, you can charge relics, you can overcharge relics, and you can create your own boosts in quality through using all the effects depending on the biome you're playing, which is so cool. So in the first biome, you have to burn burning relics, and then you have a relic that says if you burn a relic, gain more quality. And it's all about the quality of the items, which I think was also in the first game. There was the quality aspect, but here you can manipulate the quality of the items with this new gameplay thing in your inventory. Now, I could imagine some people being like, oh, I don't want to deal with an extra thing. I have to be careful where to place things in your inventory. And I could imagine some people not being thrilled with this concept, but I find that really cool because just putting things in your inventory, depending on the quality and of the item, is you don't even think about it. There's nothing, it's just whatever, which is fine, but I like the extra little thought-provoking game within the game, which also has an additional game. So there's like 3 games, right? There's like putting things in your inventory, which is a whole thing. There's the actual gameplay of the run, and then there's a shopping phase, and that's super cool. I love it. I really feel like the things they've added to the sequel so far are great improvements, and they make a lot of sense. It's really well designed in that regard. I really respect what they went for. On my notes, I also added that I was like, oh, there's only one gun. That's kind of disappointing because it's always the same. But no, actually, I just unlocked an NPC that allows you to change your guns. So awesome. Again, more stuff to play with. I cannot wait. So overall, Moonlighter 2 is looking very promising to me. In its early access, there seems to be a lot to play with already. I cannot wait to see how big this game will be, but it's already looking very impressive. I think the things they've added to the game are really, really great. The gameplay itself, of the action gameplay, I need to test it out more personally to know how I feel about it. Right now, I'm a little bit split. It feels a little clunky, but it's also cooler than the first game, so I'll have to come back to on that one once I've really played more of it. I love the whole inventory system that they've added that really makes collecting, actual materials, not the materials, items, more interesting than just like putting in your inventory and just forgetting about it. And the shop phase is pretty similar, but with this added a little Hades twist. So all these things are really cool. Just hope that the gameplay is going to feel comfortable even after a few hours, and if not, that they're going to be, making it feel better. Also, in that regard, your character doesn't run. I don't think there's a run button. I kind of wish you could go a little faster outside of combat, because currently I'm just kind of rolling constantly to just go faster. But the whole vibe, the visuals, the VFX, the music, oh my gosh, I love the music from the first game, and happily to say that the second seems to have really nice music as well. So yeah, no, overall it's really solid. I'm very impressed with it, and I cannot wait to put more hours into it to really discover the 90% more that I haven't even gotten to, even this early access, I'm willing to bet. So yeah, thanks once again for sending us Moonlighter 2. We really appreciate it. If you're interested in sending us your game in early access or just demo, feel free to fill out the form in the description below to have a chance to be featured on the next episode of Finding Next Big Roguelike. And yeah, that's about it.